What's up, fam? It's Keendawg. We're in Spangled Gamblers Quarantine HQ, and in case you can't tell, it's a little bit weird. Anyway, before this week's episode, I just want to put out a call to all the boys to get these things done. We got to pay WordPress for server space. We got to pay Libsyn for the podcast, Upwork for editing, MailChimp to manage all the communication between them. So if you can, if we're giving you tips that are making you money, if you're excited by this content, if you're having as much fun as we are making it, check out www.starspangledgamblers.com/support. That's our homepage /support. It's right there when you get there. And see if you can lend us your talents or a tip or throw us a few bucks to help this process keep going. We're going to keep churning out content. It's going to be great, and we want to do it with you. Anyway, let's check out this week's episode.
Yeah, welcome back to Star Spangled Gamblers. It's your host, Keendawg. I'm in a weird spot in the desert right now. There are no Ronies in the desert. There are no laws in the desert. It's all around a great place to be. Couldn't recommend it more. Apologize if we have any technical difficulties tonight, but we got the boys here. Zoltar, you want to say? Whoa.
What it is, what it was, what it will be.
You look like if Andre Agassi was like an emergency room surgeon in 1989 right now.
No, these are my Lady Gaga shades. When you're on a hot streak like Zoltar is, the sun seems to blaze on your eyes, which is what I'm dealing with right now. If you look closely, you might be able to see the shower curtains in my bathroom.
Is that TMI? I don't want to know where you're sitting if that's where your shower curtains are.
Dude, I'm dropping a fat deuce as we speak, son.
Laying an egg. Pratik, what's up? You want to say hi to your fans?
Hey.
Not to put you on blast, Pratik, but Pratik, I brought you a present today. Do you know that?
What do we have?
Well, I don't know. I'm waiting for the 8-piece band that I brought here to start playing. Hold on. Someone say something entertaining. Oh, here we go. Oh man, you guys hear that? Are there today?
Yum 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 baby yum. How many cookies today?
While they still baking.
Bake 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 bake.
At some point, we're going to hear them say the number 5.
Shake shake. How many cookies?
The number 5. Well, okay, that's the Sesame Street song for the number 5.
Oh yeah.
Sesame Street thinks kids are dumb, so they don't teach them to count to 25, which is the percent profit that I made making a trade this week that Pratik called me out for being a cuck for making. I said, you know what? The lines on that DNC happening this summer, people are like, no, the Ronies, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, listen, bros, like 3-1 odds that this shit happens. Way on.
You're talking about the convention.
Yeah, the Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee.
I'm on that one.
What did the Keendawg do? He bought at 36. He sold at 45. So Pratik, who's a cock now?
Look,
Throwing stacks, bro.
my article was very clear. I made the argument that if you're getting involved with that market, it's far too early to be doing it now. And you're probably going to be up against a lot of people with inside information who
Or
have an
geniuses.
edge on you.
You're gonna beat them.
Look,
Okay, I gotta.
No. Defend yourself, Pratik.
if you want to try to gamble and get the highest possible return on predicted, by all means, try to play every little swing you can. I'm highly skeptical that in the long term that's going to be a winning argument. I'm more of the Powell doctrine view on predicted. Go in big when you know you have a clear edge and you're going to win. But
Fucking
you can celebrate here and
I
there,
love it.
but I don't think that's going to pay in the long term.
I am of the SEAL Team 6 doctrine, which is why I also got into that Jesse Ventura market when it was down at like 5-1 and got out at like
the body
300% profit. Boom. Strike. In, out, win, money.
Well, but you got it wrong.
I know, but you don't have to be right to make money.
Better to be lucky.
Well, in the long term?
Here's my suggestion, if I may interrupt
yeah.
you too. Maybe there's a happy medium here. Maybe when I give a Zoltar marker board pick, you could put like 5 shares on it, just to show you're part of the SSG brotherhood. You know, just to show a little bit of that rush. I understand your conservative strategy. I saw Rounders. You're that one character.
Teddy Knish.
Yes, you play the poker hand. You know you win. You go all in. Otherwise, you just patiently get your profits. Nothing wrong with that. Zoltar likes a lot of 90, 80 markets.
Well, here,
just to be part of the brotherhood, why not just do like 5 shares? Can we do that?
No, because I think the arguments here are actually dead wrong. I mean, let's take the Amash and Ventura market, which I think is a good
No.
illustration.
Okay, not these ones.
No. Let's take them. Let's take them.
Marker board picks that you agree with.
Hold on.
Just put 5 on it.
No. Let's hear them. Just an Amash.
Okay. Look, with the Ventura and Amash markets, I made a similar argument. I said that unless you really have a strong view on whether or not they're going to get in, it's probably not worth getting in. You're up against.
I agree with you on that one.
And the point here, and I think my argument here is especially vindicated because even after their decisions were made, there was a lot of opportunity to make money on those. I got some orders filled on Amash at like 82, 83 when people were freaking out about his FEC filing. And even with Ventura, I think I got in at like 89, 90 after he made it clear he wasn't running, and that pretty quickly went up to 94, 95. So look, if you can get these right on a consistent basis, do it. But I'm skeptical that in the long term you're going to make money by getting the underlying question wrong but making the right trade.
So I think this is what I think. There's a couple ways to trade. And one way to trade is if you know your entry price and you think you know what something is actually worth and you know your exit price. And like if you do that, it's dangerous because you have to set, like the second you buy a position that you know you could lose on, you have to set that sell order because it's like trading shit coins or something like that, trading altcoins in crypto world. Like if it pumps, it's probably only pumping like once. So you have to be disciplined to pull it off. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Keendawg rule is anyone who hints at running for president is going to run for president. I've gotten burned once on that by Sherrod Brown. I think we've all gotten burned once on that. But like that's just a strategy that I like to play. And I'd rather be right. At the end of the day, I'd rather be right than rich because our credibility is being right. But I do think it's a strategy that wins if you're disciplined about it.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time too. You got to pay attention.
I want to clarify 2 things here, though. I'm not of the view that you should only get in on these 70, 80 markets. I mean, I'm the one arguing buy 1 cent shares on Klobuchar. My point is simply
you want the ones that are the good bets. I get it.
But the other point, I think that there's an argument to be particularly cautious when you're dealing with markets that hinge on the decision making of any one individual. I have not yet seen anyone who has a good argument for why they knew that Tom Steyer, would not run after that Iowa press conference and then decide to run later. Likewise with Bloomberg, announcing repeatedly.
I'm on the exact same page as you, Pratik. I don't touch those markets. The only one I touched was Steyer dropping out because Tucker Carlson interrupted his broadcast to say he dropped out. I bet like $300 that he dropped out, and then 2 minutes later, Tucker said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was actually misreported." So I hate those markets. But what I'm asking Pratik is, hop on, just get 5 shares of New York getting canceled. Just get 5 shares of my marker board pick that I'm gonna give later tonight. If you think it's a good one.
I want to say this though, like begrudgingly, if you do this for a while, you figure out what you're good at and what you're bad at. I'm like an okay predictor of elections. Like I think I'm profitable, but like I'm nothing special. But I realize that the markets that I tend to do well on are markets that require you to anticipate the behavior of politicians. Like mention markets, like who will run for what markets, who will vote for what markets. And like those are scary
bills,
as shit.
You're good at what bills are going to get passed and where they are and what stage of the process.
They're so scary though, because there's never any actual hard evidence that you're right. Now, so like I wish I didn't have to bet in these markets to make money, but the truth is I do have to bet in these markets to make money, and I don't like being wrong even.
All I'm saying is I would like if the 3 of us could celebrate a win that we all get together.
All right, well, Zoltar, why don't you we need a little update from you on these primaries. I think the New York primary had a meaningful event this week, and you're going to tell the boys 3 quick steps.
Okay. First of all, just to recap, Zoltar nailed this one. I think it was 16, 20 cents. Went up to 90, just like I said. Then I posted on Predict It. Hey, here's all the money I made. I did a little MC Hammer Zoltar face video. I did a pod with you guys, and I said, this is definitely a iSavage sell at 90 market. Despite all of that, there's still some people who had a little too much haterade in the morning and wanted to pretend that my celebration last week after I sold was premature. It was not. But what did become apparent was a lot of people want Zoltar to lose, and it did not happen this time. So F you guys. But there are some updates with the New York. As you can see, I still have the New York I Love sign up because I
Banging
still think it's going to get
here and
canceled.
there.
I still think it's going to get canceled. Here's the nuggets. I did the deep dive, went down the rabbit hole. Here's what we got. First thing is that there is a hearing on the appeal next Friday. I think that is
This is the appeal to overturn the ruling to overturn the
preliminary
election.
injunction. Yeah, so the preliminary injunction says you have to have this election June 25th. This is the hearing to say, no, we don't. So fast finger traders, keep an eye out on next Friday for that decision to drop. The other thing I noticed when I was looking, the appeal documents are posted on the docket, so you can read them if you want.
There's some backroom deals going on, right?
Yeah, just so you know, legal issues sometimes are black and white. Those are easy wins, free money. Sometimes they're gray issues. This is a textbook gray issue. It's just going to come down between the argument of America is about elections. You got to have elections or it's not America. And then the counter to that is, yeah, but if we have them, a bunch of old people are going to get COVID and die. Both sides have pretty solid points, I think. So the judge could go either way on this. I'm not going to say that it's for sure going to get canceled. It's for sure not. But what I would like to point out is that the judge, the Second Circuit Court judge, reviews Torres' district court decision de novo, which means he looks at it with a fresh set of eyes from scratch. He gives no deference to the lower court ruling. He just says, I'm pretending like I'm the first judge to see this, and I'm going to decide it.
Zoltar, is this a situation where, like, you know, if there's someone throws a flag in a football game and the onus is like overwhelming proof to overturn the call, it's like the opposite of that. Like, he gets to make the call. This judge gets to make the call fresh. He doesn't need overwhelming evidence to overturn it.
It's as if the replay booth is the only one making the call. They don't even know what the original call was. So to me, that's a red flag for we got close to a 50-50 situation. Now, the other thing that was interesting is there's a couple good nuggets in the appeal that to me indicate that they're going to cancel the New York primaries, maybe even if they get a bad decision. Now, I'm going to read specifically what they said. This is in the New York Board of Elections appeal. They said Biden and Sanders have discussed an agreement to allocate their delegates, and negotiations over delegates are already underway. In two different sections of the appeal, they say that. So to me, maybe they're getting a backroom deal to give Bernie more delegates than he could possibly get in New York, just so he'll agree to cancel. Yeah, just agree to what you could possibly get 20 delegates or something. We'll give you 30. Just cancel it, so we don't have to spend $1 million opening up, another 30 polling locations.
So they're just going to maybe try and buy
New York
Bernie
is getting
off
slammed by COVID.
for a convention that might not even happen.
Right, and it's basically insignificant. And then the other interesting fact is that the lower court screwed up a pretty big factual observation, which was that Bernie Sanders suspended his campaign before the bill was passed that said they could remove everyone from the ballot. He actually did that after. So he was on constructive notice that if he suspends his campaign, he could potentially get removed from the ballot. So it takes his damages. It makes them not as big of a punch as they would be otherwise. Long story short, Cliff Notes version, I say 60-40 New York gets canceled at this point.
All right, so Zoltar says buy up to 50. Does that sound right? Am I characterizing?
Yeah,
it?
If you want to, you could also just go fast fingers on Friday.
That gets
but it's a good price right now. I think it's at 30 now, so buy it up to 50. That's what I would do. I got some cheap New Yorks. It's pulled me back in.
It always pulls you back in, Zoltar. Meanwhile, history seems to be moving forward on a parallel track. There's a really hot market that we've been hearing from a lot of the boys about when Joe Biden will pick his vice president. New York be damned. Pratik, do you want to take the rock on this one?
Yeah, well, why don't we read a few mailbag questions here? So Harrison writes, why would he announce earlier he meaning Biden, he doesn't need to energize anyone, and his VP pick, in a way, has only downside risk for him. If he must announce, wait for a time when he needs to control the narrative. Why take the spotlight off Dr. Bleach?
I think that's Trump.
Yeah.
That's
then
not
Alex
his real
Latovsky also makes the point that Biden may not be the one making the VP pick if you believe that the allegations against him are serious. I think this market basically comes down to whether or not you believe we're in a normal year. With a couple
Zoltar shaking his
exceptions, John Kerry being the notable one with Edwards. In recent years, candidates have tended to wait until around the time of the convention to pick their running mate. But that could go either way. This time, the market seemed to be kind of two views. One, that Biden will pick relatively early, but two, that the convention could get delayed, which would push his pick back even further.
So I look at this, and to me, there's a really obvious thing to do, and that is there's a bracket on Predicted. Will he make this announcement or selection before July 5th? I feel like that's a non-starter, and that's trading at 73 cents for a no.
I'll hop in on that. So you got no shares on that one?
I'm going to put it on a buy order as soon as I hang up on this call. I don't see why. First of all, 4th of July weekend. Second of all, it's like when have they announced that early?
It's like a symphony doing its crescendo to the big finish. And the convention's the big finish. You want to have all this momentum building. And right now, it's just flatlining. You don't want to just go flatline. Oh, here's my vice president. So I think he's definitely going to wait. He's going to wait till coronavirus stops being 99% of the news cycle, and then. Right now, don't forget. Right now, he's testing all the candidates. He keeps floating. Elizabeth Warren got floated in the news, and once her brother died of COVID or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, they've been floating her. Stacey Abrams, she's been saying why she's going to be a good pick. So they're looking at the public's reaction to all of this. And I think they're going to continue to do that for at least a couple more weeks.
I think there's an underlying question in this that I don't 100% have the answer to, and it sort of plugs in with what Pratik and I were trolling each other about, which is I don't really know if they can delay the convention much more, because if they don't nominate Biden, it's sort of weird for him to be hitting the campaign trail really hard. If they wait until September or something like that to nominate him for president, it's just weird.
Like I said, the plan right now with Broadway and sports, NFL actually just dropped their schedule. They got some games in September. Broadway's going to try to get July 4th.
Yeah, I just
convention's set for August 17th.
I'm still not getting it.
The convention's set for August 17th. I think it's going to be plenty of time. Hold on. Start talking, Keendawg. I'm going to show a picture to everyone.
PJ, what do you... Pratik, what's your middle name? I always call you PJC, first of all. Is this offensive to you? If it is, I'll stop.
No.
So rude.
Does anything offend you?
No, not really. Well, actually, except your trading strategy.
My disregard for truth and reason. Wait, but so what do you think? I just don't think you can delay there's only so much you can delay the convention is sort of my view.
Yeah, so in this market, I'm going to buy no in before July 5th, and then I'm also going to buy no in the after August 15th. Even if you think he's going to go early, John Kerry made his pick on July 6th, which was about 3 weeks before the Democratic convention. So that, and he's an outlier in terms of how early. And then I agree with you that, the convention is scheduled for August 17th. So even if he waits 1 week before then, you're already at August 10th. Okay. And
May I interject?
Zoltar's got some visual media for us.
If you guys look at that, that is a picture of the Georgia Tech game during the Spanish flu.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's got their surgical masks on. They figured it out. They found a way. I think the DNC convention is going to look like this, except with less dudes in hats.
Okay, not to go backwards in time, but this DNC convention thing is such a brain buster. Think about how expensive it would be to rent that venue and not fill it up, that Milwaukee Bucks stadium. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm kind of glad that I cashed out when I did, but I don't think that this can slip later, and I totally agree with Pratik's trading strategy on this one.
The other argument too for getting in for after August 15th, I think that Biden is probably going to announce that he has some kind of a narrow or final list. So I think the markets are going to move as he gets closer to a pick.
The VP market's been pretty dead lately. Like I was really enjoying that being super liquid, great way to make, a nickel here, a nickel there, but there's just nothing going on there these days.
Yeah, it gets very personal on those message boards for the VP market.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they know the reason that this person is going to be the VP, and everyone else is an idiot. And truth is, no one knows.
Zoltar, you're going to be grateful for what I'm about to tell you. Do you
Let's
know
hear it.
who went out and bought some Tammy Duckworths because of you?
What? Throwing for the stumps?
Wait. Say that again.
Voting for the stumps?
Is that what we're calling her now?
Well, I'm voting for her if she's on there.
A campaign with no legs to stand on.
I think being a war hero in the shit, helicopter shot down, both legs cut off, I think that gets you votes.
That military premium.
Alex, you did get some hate mail in the VP market.
Did I?
Lucas
Thomas. Sell your Cuomo VP shares. You're panning for gold in the sewers of Brooklyn.
Got him.
Joe Biden committed to picking a woman, and he needs one on the ticket now more than ever.
There's nothing better than an artfully worded troll.
First of all, Paramount Pictures went panning for gold in the sewers of Brooklyn, and they found the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, don't tell me that that's not a winning strategy. Second of all, I've said this on this podcast before. I bought those shares because, the day after Pearl Harbor's bombed, aka the day after everyone in New York City got coronavirus and the world was going to end, you have to anticipate that there could be huge changes if you're going into a war setting. So I thought spending $5 to cover myself on some 1 cent Cuomo shares, yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. How much of your portfolio is on lottos?
Not much, a couple percent.
What about you,
at the most?
I have a few. I'm buying 4 or 5 cent shares of Iowa, being the smallest margin. Klobuchar, I have 1% in the president market.
I jumped on the club with you. I jumped on the club. I got
I followed you too.
Connecticut, I guess that's kind of at 20 cents now. But generally, I don't really go with the lottos that much.
What is Connecticut?
I think it's at 26 cents.
No, meaning what market?
To get canceled.
Get canceled.
Oh, okay.
They're one of the last ones, and their election board is actively campaigning to get the thing canceled.
Well, that whole tri-state area has been moving in unison, so I'm on the other side of that trade, but it does make me nervous. Pratik.
I was going to read one more mailbag on Duckworth. I thought this was a good comment by Michael Cobb. Agreed, military service can be overrated in terms of effectiveness, but nothing yet has changed about its role and who might get the VP nod. I don't put too much emphasis on service, but Duckworth checks a lot of boxes for the usual VP pick, more so than all but 4 or 5. So
I disagree with that. I think I look at things very cultural forward. And when we were little kids, everyone was reading Ken Burns' Civil War shit, and people were doing Civil War reenactments. And then Saving Private Ryan came out, and The Greatest Generation. Oh my god! And now I feel the civil rights movement and social activism has taken that role of what our culture is supposed to admire the most. And that's very different from military service. Being at Selma is very different from being in the fucking rice paddy in the Audrang Valley,
knee deep in rice paddies, leeches the size of frisbees stuck to your neck.
Yeah.
Looking at Charlie.
Yeah. Calling in that fucking napalm strike. Yeah. So I think, especially in the Democratic side, being able to point to social activism and civil rights, Kamala Harris is very good about doing that. Joe Biden is very good about doing that when he remembers to. I was a defense attorney for, so I think that the premium's kind of over there right now, and it's away from military service.
Oh, you know what else I was thinking now we're talking VP markets? I was thinking him floating Michelle Obama. He basically said, I told her it's hers if she wants it. I think that is almost a signal that he's not going to go with an African-American VP. I think he was trying to show that, hey, my first choice was, but I'm going club.
I mean, it's also,
Just some
that's the
food
type
for
of
thought.
turn of phrase that just says, yeah, if she wants it, she can have it, but I know that she doesn't want it. Wait, Pratik, can I read some hate mail about you?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So, Anonymous, we're not going to dox this person, said, Pratik is obviously sharp, but my constructive criticism would be to mix some caffeine into your diet.
No way, dude. He's a silent assassin. That's his charm.
The funny thing about the caffeine thing, I spent a number of years experimenting with all kinds of like herbs and supplements and things, and the one that I could not figure
Vitamin
out, oddly
THC.
enough, is caffeine. Like, depending on how I take caffeine, sometimes it'll like trigger my nervous system and make me cry over nothing, or sometimes it'll like really energize me, or
Wow.
sometimes
So-
it'll make me angry or whatever. So
Did you ever
like,
try
I don't know.
that bulletproof coffee?
Yeah, so coffee makes me like even more mellow and sad than like I probably normally sound
In
right
real
now.
life.
I don't know.
It's kinda
Should
like-
we do
kinda
like
like
a
when I,
fundraiser here?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, sometimes when I like freebase meth out of a light bulb, I get the same.
So what I'm hearing is probably the most entertaining thing this webcast will ever do is see Pratik drink coffee. Like, I kind of want to see him cry like he's high on bad
Oh,
weed.
don't be mean to the kid.
So log on to starspangledgamblers.com/support, and there's our this podcast bank account has a Venmo link. So if you send me a Venmo
Ooh.
with a
I've been telling him to do that because I don't even know what Patreon is, but Venmo I do all the time. I saw college game day. Some kid had a sign that said, "Buy me beer. Here's my Venmo. $20. Got it to him." And I looked at his thing, and everyone else was paying him too. He got like $100 that day.
if you want to send Pratik a cup of coffee, we will make him drink 1 cup of coffee for every $5 you send us, and we'll have it like every week. It'll just be watch Pratik cry when he drinks it.
I am not a part of this.
I'm not a part of this. This seems
Pratik, will you agree to this?
Yeah, I mean, I found white tea tends to make me angry, and coffee and things tend to make me like emotional.
What about
weirdly,
like a
so-
shot of Cuban coffee? What does that do?
Yeah, well, we can try it out.
I don't
I'm
think
open for.
I don't think white tea has ever made anyone male or under the age of 70 angry.
What about this? Have you guys tried this?
Is that a dildo?
It's called Boom Boom. You take this thing, you stick it in your nose. It's energy you inhale.
That I
is-
am not doing for any
is-
price.
Is that a product of that Colombia Free Trade Agreement?
No, they sold this at 7-Eleven. I was like, wait a minute. Is this something I put up my nose for energy?
The guy at
Sold.
7-Eleven sells it to you, or the guy standing outside of 7-Eleven sells it to you?
No, it's a legal product. It's not drugs. It's Boom Boom. Look it up
right.
online. Boom Boom.
All right, Zoltar, I want you to take us home.
I
We've got
recommend the
one-
menthol version.
We've got one last market that we've been getting a lot of mail from the boys about. And I will be completely honest and say that I have no idea what's going on, and I just do whatever you tell me to do. And this is all those, I'm going to read a couple letters, and then I'm just going to let you riff. But this is all the Mike Flynn shit. So
Yeah. I
we
know
heard
this one.
from Der Schwartz, who I guess had the wrong position. I should probably take some losses and keep out of this market, but 20 cents feels low. Would Sullivan choose to dismiss with prejudice when he does not have to?
Okay. Pratik, Keendawg, I hope we can all join in on this one. This is Zoltar's Blue Horseshoe pick of the week. Trump will not give clemency to Mr. Flynn.
This is what I would consider a cracked market, not a market where, like New York, where I think there's a shot, yes, no, maybe. No. I would, if there was no limits on predicted, I would do like 3,000 on this.
Basically,
Right now it's 80-20, right? It's 80-20 yes that
Yeah.
he'll grant clemency
and
to
it's
Flynn.
just because a bunch of idiots who are non-lawyers.
Or no, I'm sorry.
It's just going over their head. So here's the situation.
Judge kind of has it in for Flynn. I'll admit that. But judges' jobs are to resolve cases and controversies. That's what they're constitutionally authorized and empowered to do. If the DOJ says we're dropping the case, Flynn says, I don't want to go to jail, there's no controversy. If a judge had made a decision or acted and said, I'm going to make you prosecute Flynn, then he's doing like an advisory opinion, which is specifically prohibited by the Constitution. So the judge is not going to say, I'm rejecting your motion to dismiss. The only card that Sullivan can throw, and he does want to give Flynn a diggy dig. I'll give you that because I think he called him a traitor or something earlier in the trial.
Fighting words.
So there is a chance he tries to stick it to Flynn, but the only card he can throw is doing granting the motion to dismiss with prejudice. And what that basically means is, in theory, the DOJ could refile a case against Flynn and do a whole trial and then convict him. And then if that happens, Trump could grant clemency. But that's going to take at least another year. It's not going to happen. You can't have a pardon or clemency unless there's a conviction. You can't have a conviction if the DOJ has dropped all charges. So this is 100% going to resolve no pardon from Trump.
I wish I'd asked you this
question.
comments,
but I'm sure there's some wacky legal theories.
I wish I'd asked you about this sooner. Would be more money.
Yeah, I'm all maxed out on this one. I told all my the Zoltar army. I told them all to just max out on this one. This is just free money.
Well, the Zoltar army's been climbing the leaderboard. Sorry, go ahead, Pratik.
Yeah, no, I mean, someone wrote in here about this, talk about full vindication for the tinfoil hat crowd. So I agree with you on Flynn, and I would also add, I think this might be an argument for doubling down on Roger Stone getting a pardon also. I've been of the view that Trump is going to let the legal process play out, but if it looks like Stone ultimately has to report to jail, I think he'll intervene at that point. But I think the markets are thinking that Stone's appeal has more credibility than it does in light of the Flynn events. So,
I am 100% convinced Stone is going to get some type of pardon or clemency, but I'm not convinced when that will happen because he was supposed to report to jail like a week ago, and they postponed it a month. They might postpone it another month. Barr's in charge of this DOJ. Who knows what's going to happen? So that's what's making me nervous. I agree with you, Pratik. I'm focused on the date he's set to go to jail.
Zoltar's bugging out on the Wi-Fi. I don't have the patience or the knowledge to play in these markets, so I literally just do whatever is on Zoltar's whiteboard. If you put that on the whiteboard,
Stone will
that's
get
what
pardoned.
I do.
He might not get pardoned this year. That's the quick answer.
do you have a view on Manafort?
I think he's also going to get pardoned, but Manafort's the least likely of the three because he did crimes unrelated to Russia collusion, and he actually did them. He did like shady Ukraine lobbyists without registering.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to wait.
But bottom line is he's the least likely. But I also think he's gonna get some type of pardon. I'm not sure if it's this year though.
Take it to the bank, Zoltar. Can we look forward to getting a screenshot of that? You want to hold it up one more time for your fans?
Yeah. And by the way, I'm fully aware of the fact that all you trolls out there are going to try to post this if I'm ever wrong. But so far, I haven't been. So,
and who could ever be wrong with shades like those? So you can look for that board. We'll have some commentary on it on the Star Spangled Gamblers blog. Pratik, you got any last pearls for your fans or your haters?
No, I think we're good to go.
I got one more pearl to drop.
Okay.
Everyone's been asking me what elections have state primaries but not federal on the same day. And it's Rhode Island, Delaware,
Wyoming,
Connecticut,
Kansas,
Louisiana. Let's see, Wyoming. No, Wyoming's got them on. Or no, Wyoming and Kansas. So there you go. And the point of that is it's more likely to get canceled if it's just a state primary. If it's just a federal primary. If there's a state primary on the same day, then they're going to do election no matter what. So they might as well do federal one.
There you have it.
I say still hold on to Puerto Rico, Connecticut, and New York. All those are going to get canceled.
I say trust in Zoltar. I'm Keendawg. I'm your host. This is Star Spangled Gamblers. We're going to be doing this twice a week. If you haven't figured it out, this is Mailbag Monday. We're getting started a little later. It might be Mailbag Tuesday this week. And you can look forward at the end of the week. We're going to be dropping a pod with another journo in our, what was that format we did? Never Have I Ever? Would You Rather? Anyway, we played some drinking games about betting and It was very satisfying to me. I'm Keendawg, Zoltar, Pratik. You can find us on StarSpangledGamblers.com if you're still with us.
Don't
Thank
eat
you.
pot cookies.
Good night.